As President Joe Biden nears 100 days in office, he's under increasing pressure to meet his promise to reopen schools, some shut for over a year due to the COVID crisis. To mark this milestone for the administration, Sky News Washington correspondent Annalise Nielsen is revisiting people that she met on the campaign trail to see how they're faring.
We first met Jeff Kaiser in September of last year. The principal of this small Catholic school in eastern Iowa has managed what at times seemed like an impossible task amid the COVID pandemic.
Marquette has never closed during the time of COVID-19. We've relied on some extra help. For example, we've had teachers that have also had COVID-19 during the school year. And in situations like that, we call upon substitute teachers. A lot of people are willing to step up and help out. But even those teachers from home were sometimes teaching classes to their students remotely the other way. Instead of being at school and teaching to children that were home, they were at home sometimes teaching to our students at school. It's been a lot of creative ways of making this work this year.
That's despite infection rates in the county reaching a staggering 37% last year. It's helped that now staff have mostly been enthusiastic to be vaccinated.
Oh, I jumped at the chance. I think I was probably one of the first ones to email Mr. Kaiser back and say, sign me up. In the history of our country, with all of the things that we have had go on, polio, rubella, all of that, vaccines have shown to work.
Iowa's one of just a handful of US states where the governor ordered schools to offer full-time, in-person learning.
We sit farther apart and we have to wear masks, but we're still with our friends and we're still at school.
I work in a grocery store, so I've been able to work quite a bit during the pandemic, which is good.
Since we were last here, we discovered one of the hardest hit families was Principal Kaiser's. He and his wife Kelsey, a fellow teacher, contracted COVID-19 just 1 week before she was due to give birth to their third child.
We were isolated to our hotel or to our hospital room. We couldn't leave the room at all. We had a call to have meals delivered to us, and they would just set them outside the door.
For the school, though, one major problem has been convincing furloughed support staff to come back when they've been making more money on unemployment benefits.
$600 was a nice bonus for them to be able to work. But one of the beautiful things about working in schools and working with children is that we also feel called, it's our mission to continue to serve students.
It's great that the government wants to take care of those folks and protect people, but it's difficult when employees can make more money staying at home in unemployment than they can coming back to work. And so I don't always blame them when they say, I'm going to stay at home because it's safer.
Dr. John Asplund runs the Galesburg School District. It's just on the other side of the Mississippi River. But because it's in Illinois, schools are only recently reopening.
Our school district here, we're close to 70% low income already. So we have a lot of students of low income that are at home, but that's because we have a lot of students of low income. So we have seen that the amount of engagement has been somewhat directly related to those students of low SES, low socioeconomic status. They've had more academic struggles as a result of the remote status of school.
President Joe Biden promised that by the end of his first 100 days in office, schools would be open. Congress has pledged hundreds of billions of dollars to make this happen, but they've come up against a patchwork of state and local regulations across the country. Adding to the confusion has been the ambiguity around the definition of whether an open school does still include virtual or remote learning.
And there's been, we feel, somewhat of an abdication of responsibility at the federal level, at the state level, and that leaves it to the local level. And so people are yelling at us when we're really just as much a victim of this whole thing as anybody else, but we're accessible. And so it's much more simple just to yell at the school because you know who they are and you know where they are. Whereas the state and federal representatives just kind of seem more than happy to let us kind of twist in the wind out here when there's never been real straight, firm directives from any governmental entity to make us move in one direction or another. And so every district's kind of left to its own devices to figure out what to do, and just everybody's mad all the time. And it's very frustrating because we don't have any way to maneuver, and we don't really have any clear mandate from the government to tell us what to do. And so that's been very challenging, and I think it's going to result in a lot of people leaving the profession.
And untold pressure on families across the country juggling home learning too. Annalise Nielsen in Bellevue, Iowa.